In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to use two of the UI extension sites provided with the Telerik CAB Enabling Kit, which is available at telericcab.codeplex.com. The two UI extension sites I'm going to be going over are the RadMenu and the RadToolStrip. And to get started, I've actually gone ahead and created a simple application to which we are going to add those UI extension sites. Let's take a look at this project. In the modules folder, I actually have an asset manager module that I've created previously. Inside of this, there's an asset listing view. And what this view is, or actually what this entire module is basically a listing of all the assets for my company or my store or whatever you can think of. And how they're displayed is they're displayed in a single rad grid view to which I can add or remove items. And they have a name, a description, and the amount of that asset that I have. So if we take a look at the interface for this view, you'll see that I'm actually exposing the binding source to that grid. And if we take a look at the presenter that's behind that view, and take a look at this command handler's region that I have here, you'll see that I'm actually using the binding source to add or, in the delete selected asset method, remove items from the rad grid view. And these two methods are my command handlers for the application. As you can see, this add new asset method is actually assigned the add new asset command name for the command handler. And the delete selected asset method is actually assigned the delete selected asset command handler. So if we take a look at the add new asset command handler, let's see what it's doing. So I create an asset, I set a name, add it to the binding source, and update the overall status of the application. And that's all there is to adding an asset. Now if we take a look at the delete selected asset method, you'll see that I'm actually checking to see if there's a current item selected on the asset binding source, and if so, I just remove it from the binding source, and then I update the status of the application. And that's really all there is to it for these command handlers. Now, the key part to this is how we want to use these command handlers. We're going to need to invoke them somewhere in the application, and that place is actually going to be the UI extension sites. So to get started with that, let's close these folders here and open up infrastructure.layout, the shell layout view. In the shell layout view, I've actually replaced the central workspace with the rad dockable workspace. But as you can see here, I've still got the default main menu strip and the default tool strip that are provided with the generated SCSF application. The first thing we're going to need to do is to remove the main menu and the main tool strip, and we're going to replace those with the rad menu and the rad tool strip. So let's delete the main menu, and now let's delete the main tool strip, and let's undock the main workspace so that we can dock the new menu and new tool strip above it. From the toolbox, let's drag out a new rad menu, and let's actually name this to main menu strip. And let's also drag out a rad tool strip. And let's delete the extra component it adds for us. And we'll need to select the rad tool strip element, and that's what we're going to name for this control. Let's call that main rad tool strip element. And now we can go ahead and redock the main workspace. And you'll notice that when I dock this, it actually docked behind my menu and my tool strip. Well, this is a common problem people encounter sometimes, and there's actually a really easy fix for this. If you come up to the view menu and select document outline, you can actually see the outline for all of the controls on your form. And the view layout and docking positions are actually dictated by the order in which controls are added to this collection. And you can easily change the order by selecting a control and clicking the up or down arrow. So if we select the rad panel, which is where my workspace is, and move it up to, you'll see that it actually is now docked correctly. And that's all there is to fixing that. Before we move on, I'm going to fix the file menu to reflect how it acted before. So I'm just going to add file, and I'll add a new RadMenu item. And let's change that to exit. And let's subscribe it to the onFile exit click event that was generated by the SCSF for us. Now if we click save, our form is ready, and now we can take a look at the code behind for it. If we scroll down, you'll actually see that the SCSF has generated a couple of properties for us. The first of those being the main menu strip property and the main toolbar strip property. What we're going to do is actually update those properties to return our new controls that we added to the form. So updating the main menu strip property is actually pretty simple. We're just going to change the type that it returns since we named the control the same name. And for the main toolbar strip property, we'll change this to be a RadToolStrip element. And the name of the control is a little bit different, so let's update that too. Now let's save it, and if we take a look at the show layout view presenter and the onViewSet method, you'll see that it's actually registering our UIExtension sites. And since the SCSF generated this project, it actually created this code for us. And since we're using those same exact property names, we don't need to update any code here. It's automatically doing everything it needs to do for us. So that's all we need to worry about. Now, let's go ahead and extend the UIExtension sites. If we scroll down here to my Asset Manager module and open up module controller.cs, you'll see that it actually has two methods pre-generated for us by the SCSF, the ExtendMenu method and the ExtendToolStrip method. Well, the module controller.cs file is actually the first file that's run on any module when you add it to your main shell. And these two methods, ExtendMenu and ExtendToolStrip, are the methods in which you extend UIExtension sites. So let's go ahead and implement the ExtendMenu method. I'm going to paste in some code here. What this code is doing is actually generating a top-level RadMenu item and two sub-menu items. The top-level RadMenu item is the menu item added to the UIExtension site, and the two sub-menu items are child menu items of that top-level menu item. These two sub-menu items are set up to invoke the commands that were previously placed on the Asset Listing Views presenter. So let's take a look at this code. In the first two lines, we're actually creating our top-level menu item. We're going to call it Assets, and in the second line of that, we're actually adding it to the UIExtension site. And to do that, we access the UIExtension site's collection on our central work item using its string name constant main menu. We call the add method on it, specify our type, which is a RadMenu item, and then we pass in our top level menu item that we created. And in the next three lines of code, we actually create one of our submenu items, the add asset submenu item. And for this item, we're not actually going to add it to the UIExtension site since it's going to be a submenu of our top level menu item. So we don't need to worry about that. But what we are going to do with this item is add a command invoker to it. And to add a command invoker, we access the commands collection on our work item using its string name constant. Then we call the add invoker command, pass it our object that we want to issue the command, and then we pass the string name of the event that is on that object. In this case, it's the click event. And then below that, we add it to our top level work item as a child menu item. And then in the next three lines of code, we're doing exactly the same thing, but this time with the delete selected asset command. So what we do is we create a remove asset menu item, and then we access the delete selected asset command on our work items commands collection. Then we call the add invoker method, pass in our remove asset menu item, and we want the click event to issue this command. And then we add it to the child items collection of our top level menu item. And that's all there is to it. So now, let's extend the RadToolStrip extension site. If we scroll down to the ExtendToolStrip method, I have a quick code snippet that I'm going to paste in here. If we take a look at what this code is doing, you'll notice that it's doing pretty much the same thing as the menu code was doing, but in the reverse order. First, it creates two rad button elements and assigns their click events to command invokers. Then we create a RadToolStrip item, which we use as a container for our rad button elements. Then we use this object to extend our UI extension site. So let's click Save and run this program and see if it works. Once the application is up and running, we can immediately see that our UI extension sites are working. Our menu has been added, and our toolstrip has been extended. So now let's test out these toolstrip items. If we click Add Asset, you'll see that it is actually invoking that command on our presenter and adding new assets to our listing. Now if we click Delete Asset, it's actually invoking the Delete Asset command on our presenter and removing items from the list. And the same thing goes for the menu. If I click Add Asset, it adds a new item to the list. And if I click Remove Asset, it removes it from the list. And that's pretty much it. UI extensions are as easy as that. If you would like more information about the Telerik CAB Enabling Kit, I urge you to check out telerikcab.codeplex.com or check out my blog at blogs.telerik.com/RobertShoemate.